Your Excellencies, the Vice Presidents, the Ministers, the Deputy Ministers, our learning experts, the Undersecretaries, all invited guests. Assalamu alaikum. You have realized that we are going to delay you recapping the recommendations of this sitting, starting from the statement made by Vice President Taban, and then followed by the long statement made by Vice President Dr. James Wani. This is because we have discussed the matter in the Council of Ministers, in the Governors Cluster, in the Economic Cluster. The same issues. So in a way we are knowledgeable about dredging, about the Jungule Canal, about management of water. But a good doctor always asks for a second opinion. A second opinion so that you can move forward with the project. And therefore, because of this, the President called for public consultation. And particularly that there were eminent people who raised an alarm from the University of Juba. The social media was also full of information. So this public consultation was launched. It's important for our nation. And it is important for the government that such an event takes place. We in government are not like the public, not also like the assembly, because we have done it, we have studied it, we have discussed it thoroughly. That's why there is a difference between us and the rest. I value a lot of what was said by our experts. But you could see from the statements of leading people that there is still dissatisfaction. I had wanted 4 ministries to make a presentation to the experts, led by the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation. I don't think he presented fully what they have in their ministry. He didn't. The references they have made in this work, whether it is books, the libraries, they have a lot to give. But this has not been presented here, nor in the public presentation, the last 3, and what was done yesterday. I happened to know something about this Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation when it was established. And Lieb well knows that well. I also happen to know a lot about the establishment of Ministry of Environment. And when we made the declaration of the Seth as a Ramsar site, I led that, I was share of it. By that time, the minister was James Laurel. I have also followed the construction of ports, the Mangala port, the Shambe port, and also the Rang port, and the improvements in Malakal port in it. I have also followed the Ministry of what's happening in the Ministry of Energy and Dams. The project South Sudan, one to establish in the Ministry of Energy and Dams when it was called Ministry of Electricity. The purpose is for the dams, whether it is for energy or for control of water or as reservoirs. And therefore, this consultation is critical. We must say the truth in it. Yes, the academic papers must be relevant to our situation. Professor Taj Al-Khazim, we had worked together, as I told you before, on other aspects on security sector. And we valued the work we did together, and the Minister of Interior is enjoying this, particularly in the community security and small arms control. If we had the resources, maybe now our country would be secure. Or if we did not go to war, if war did not erupt, our citizens would not be having arms in their hands. They would be doing different things altogether, not killing themselves with arms. That's a part of the project they brought from Canada. I want to borrow some maps. Can I have a map of South Sudan with all the rivers? Map of South Sudan with the rivers. Can you put it on? You have it, I know, but you didn't bring yours. Okay, let me start with the eastern part of South Sudan. Kuren. How many of you have gone to Kuren? Okay, 6, 8. There is a river called Kure River. It flows between two mountains for 50 kilometers. When it discharges into the plains, the two mountains, the distance between them is about 100 kilometers. The Kuren River feeds into Pibo River. Kaneti also goes and meets with the Kure River just south of Pibor. There's another river, Singata, also feeds into that. They all meet there and make a depression. This is where most of our wildlife, when they come down from the Boma Plateau, they pass there, some wanting more water, continue up to Pibor, some continue up to the Nile. This by itself is a basin. It's a basin. We do not control it because we have no mechanism to control it. There is a thinking that we should build a dam in Kuren. There's also a thinking that we should build a dam in the other river near Torit, which is the one I mentioned, Kennedy. Yes. The Chinese are doing something on it. Now, this is an effort to control our rivers in the east. When these rivers come to Pibor, they create Pibor River. Then they meet with Akobo River, just a little bit east of Akobo. And they flow, or it flows, and they meet Gilo, coming from the areas of Penyedu. By the way, these rivers are silted with sedimentation because nobody has cleaned it, nobody is taking care of them. So a lot of sedimentation has taken place. What is the result? Floods in Pibor, floods in Akobo, floods in Wanding. Then when it moves forward, it meets the Baro River. And Baro River is composed or is made up of two rivers, or even three. The Baro itself, the Joko, and the river that comes from Thiajak. Then they come and meet with the river coming from Akobo to form Sobat. To form Sobat. Now, we have no way to control it. This river Sobat, because you have no place to establish a dam. Professor Tai told you there is to build a dam you need a strong foundation, or you have to do piling, you see, which he said is expensive. So our eastern river, which is Sobat, finally, which is the Sobat Basin, there's no way of controlling it. The only little water which we can control is the one in Kurin, where you can build a dam. Now, I want to move to the rivers west of Bahar Jabal. Yei River flows from Yei, it goes to Mundri, from Mundri, it goes to Yorul. It is called Payi there. There are lakes in Yorul. Those lakes are silted. Fully, they have become very shallow. The fishing that used to be there is not that extensive now. And this is because of siltation. And we have no means of controlling it at all, although there are 4 spots south of Mundri where there are 4 cataracts. But then the volume of water that you will be controlling would be few, because it is so much south. But all in all, if needs be, then you will have to choose one of the cataracts to build a dam to control the flooding that comes from Yei River. If you move westward, you go to Bahar Nam. Bahar Nam moves between and crosses between Ural and Rumbek. Where there is a bridge today is also silted. It is silted, and it moves and makes a border between Unity and lakes. Then it creates floods between lakes and Unity State. You have the Gay River. The Gay River also comes from Equatoria, and when it reaches the Tujis, and it makes a border between it at the Tuj, between Warab and lakes, it spreads out, but it is a big river, and it floods part of Luenjang and Unity State. You move to Tonj River, which goes to Mushra. And by the way, these 3 rivers, Bahar Nam, Gale, and Tonj River, they all meet at a place called Abadi, which is a lake. That lake is now silted. During the War of Liberation, I had to cross it without a canoe, you know. But 3 rivers meet there. And it is 40 years ago, or nearly 40 years ago, that Lake Abadi is silted. Now we're talking of dredging in Bahar Nam. Bahar Nam is Bahar Gizal. It also has a system. The most blocked place and the worst is between Lake Abadi and Gogrial, where you don't see the channel itself. You don't see it. It has spread. So even dredging the 30 kilometers or dredging between Bentiu and Wangkai doesn't solve the problem behind. It does not solve it. Because the main cause of the river, which is Naharjur, the Denka call it Agur, is already blocked in it. And this is the main cause of the river where the steamers, which Taban was talking about, they used to go up to Wow. Now, if the story I'm telling you is nearly 40 years ago, that is 1988, I walked there. What is the situation now? I was shown flooding because of one rain in Mayom yesterday. I wish that could be shown here. So you are most likely going to have Unity State in its spots, and it happened the last rainy season. What do? You must open the course You must open it. Or else that big land mass will be flooded. The problem with the Bahar Ghazal River basin is that you have no place to control it. If you take the tributaries, the ones coming from northern Bahar Ghazal, the Bahar Arab, the Lol, when they come and meet near Mayom, and they pass Mayom, they spread out, trying to arrive to Wangkai. And the Agur itself, before it reaches the place which I told you is blocked, it changes course through a river called Mabit. If some of you have heard of a place called Mangolapuk, it changes direction once it knows that, once it finds that there is no course of water, it changes direction. Mabit River, the year I saw it, was faster than the Agur. And it had dug itself. So it was changing course to go and meet with the Lol River. And in the process, floods most parts of Twitch in that. So it is not unity state alone. It is Warab, it's part of lakes. As for Fangak, the Zaraf River is blocked. You might have heard of a steamer or a boat which was impounded by some forces trying to open the Zaraf River. They couldn't because they did it the wrong way. They tried to push the weeds from the southern part. But if they were pulling the weeds from the other side, then they would have succeeded. So this is the state of our rivers. The state of our rivers. What do? We must clean them. We must dredge them. And the right definition is what Dr. Loju said. If you dredge, it means you remove the sediments and the obstacles that are at the bed of the river. You are not excavating. You are moving them, taking them out, scooping them. This is it. But now we have stigmatized our people thinking that dredging is digging or excavating. It is not. You're just clearing. And by the way, on the Bahar Jebel, the blockage from here up to Mangala, you won't have barges coming to Juba unless you dredge it. So you don't need to sugarcoat it that you are cleaning it. You dredge it. You remove all the sediments that are there. Between Juba and Malakal, there are 37 vessels that are sunk in the river. And Sanadil, 37 sandal, fi Jewel Moya. What do they do, these vessels? When the water comes, they block the flow. They also create sedimentation. They make that place shallow. So you'll have to dredge the Bahar Jebel so that it becomes again usable for navigation. The advantages of the river transport is already told to you. I don't want to talk about it. But let us change our mindset about dredging. The past history tells us it has always been done. Why does it become a big issue now when we are in difficulties? We are unable to construct roads, rail, because of its expense. If we can make use of our river in transportation, why can't we not do it? When we know if there are disadvantages, they are lesser than the advantages we get in not doing it. You see. So that's why we are supporters of dredging, because we think that is the best. And history, records, if you go to records, we don't see something dangerous that will affect South Sudan because of the dredging, of clearing weeds on our tributaries. That is dredging. When people talk of Jonglei Canal, something you are committing a treason. And I explained it to you in the morning, why we did that. Now we're in an independent country. Dr. Wani explained very eloquently what is happening in Egypt. The delta used to be three rivers going to the Mediterranean. Now there are over 20. They have dug canals for production. If the Jonglei Canal was a colonial project, can we not change the objectives of this canal? He has mentioned a lot that from the Jonglei Canal you will have also more canals moving eastwards to areas that we need either agricultural production or where we want to give more water to our animals that are traversing that area. This is very simple. 4.4 billion cubic meter of water does not have to go to the White Nile. It doesn't have to, because you can control it. When you complete the canal, you will have gates. From the entry of it, you close it if you have enough water in it. At the end of it, at the suburb, you can also close it. And you use the water for either irrigation or for animals. You can also still dredge the streams, the creeks that are within the Jonglei and connect them to the canal itself, so that the canal feeds them. And you have abundant water to the population in Jonglei. You don't need to let the water get into the White Nile if you don't want it to go to the White Nile. You can do that. There is a stream called Nanam in the Murle land, and actually it is an extension of some parts of Keneti. Then it goes to Nanam, then it moves to Geni. It also joins Akobo River. You can dredge it. You can also make pools in these streams with the machinery that some of us are rejecting. You can do all those. You can create them. So I personally, I was not against the Jonglei from the inception. From the inception. Because I know one thing, rivers regulate themselves. This is science. Rivers regulate themselves. Now, in South Sudan, the fastest river during the rainy season is Sobat. When it meets the water coming from the Bahr Jabal, it blocks the Bahr Jabal water. It takes over, and its water flows. When it becomes dry season, the Bahr Jabal takes over because it becomes stronger. Its current becomes stronger, and then it takes over. As for Bahr al-Ghazal, the Legno is a shallow depression. It's a shallow depression. The entry to Legno from Bahr Jabal was pushed by the colonial powers so that they could get into Bahr Jabal. Most of it is land. It is very, very narrow when you want to get into Legno. But since, what will you do? The water of the Bahr Ghazal basin is purely our water. Nobody can contest it. How do you control it? There's difficulty in controlling it because this is lowland. Unless you do the piling at the entrance of Legno into the Bahr Jabal. And the piling is expensive. But if it is important for us that the Bahr Jabal water must be a bargaining chip for us, for anybody who wants more water, then you'll have to construct something at its confluence with the Bahr Jabal, I mean Bahr Ghazal and Bahr Jabal. At that confluence you must do something. But it is going to be an expensive dam. But you'll find yourself, you have no choice. Else it will flow, because once it joins the Bahr Jabal and they create the White Nile, you have no other control. And by the way, you must know that Sudan is the one concerned now with the canal. Some of their experts are saying if the canal is completed, then Khartoum will be flooded. So we now have a problem to persuade the brothers in Sudan that no, we don't want Khartoum to be flooded. We have another design. We will, if we finish along while we are constructing it, we are also making our canals within Jonglei, so the water is not going to increase, you know. But leaders in Khartoum say, you finish the Jonglei canal, it is going to flood Khartoum. Okay? So they don't need more water. You are in a fix. The Jonglei canal, 267 kilometers of it has been dug. Some of you will remember that I said, were it not because of the Jonglei canal, Bor would have been submerged in water. Because the dike that has been constructed by the Dutch and the IOM has diverted the discharge, which is the flood, to the Jonglei Canal. That's why we were seeing water inside the Jonglei Canal. So you can come from Sobat Mouth up to south of Panyagur using boats on it. So already it is an infrastructure that our people are using. To avoid talking about it, it's not fair. You must talk about it. If you want to review some of it, okay, the sooner you do it, the better, rather than delaying it. Because it is us, this generation, before we wither out, to correct whatever misinformation we gave you. It will not be the next generation, it's us who will have to correct it. Like what Dr. James told you, it's us who will correct it. Those who have fought the war of liberation. Rather than you destroying your relations with other nations. So, because you need those other nations. You need to have good relations with them. Whether they are Sudanese, or they are Egyptians, or Ethiopians, whom we share this basin together. So it is us who must give you the correct information, so that you don't say it was left to us by our forebears that these guys are bad. We did what we did for purposes of getting independence of this country, and that is done. That is achieved. And therefore, we must correct things. We must correct things. We have no issue with the Egyptians, like we have no issue with the Ethiopians. If they are in conflict, we would help them. Lately, the last Council of Ministers, we made a resolution that the Sudanese-Ethiopian conflict, we must send a delegation to them so that they don't quarrel. Let them resolve their issues peacefully, because we have lived war. And we value the relations between these two countries with us, whether it is the Ethiopians or with the Sudanese. Now, in our politics, in our plans, our interests first. But make your plans without any prejudices. Without any prejudices, you know. This is when you will get good plans. This is when you will get assistance from elsewhere. Environmentalists think if we completed the construction of the Jonglei Canal, we will dry up the Sed. Why would we dry up the Sed when we know its value? We know its value so much. We know the ecosystem that is there. We know we have a population that lives on it. We know that the water that evaporates in the Sed region becomes a blessing even in our own country. Why would we dry it? We also know that water is a big sink, carbon sink. The more we have water, the more we manage it, the more we will get resources with the latest economic theories of carbon credit. Why would we destroy it? Why would we allow others to destroy it? I have a belief in the institutions we have established. Whether it is the Ministry of Water Resources, the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Transport. There are scientists among them. We cannot undermine them. That is why the debate must be transparent and open. Honorable experts, I think these guys, one person is away, is the Minister of Energy here. He's not here. They have not had the real presentation they would present to you. If you make your conclusions on what you heard in the public, you will have heard the emotions, okay? But you would not know that we have experts here in this country who have the same interests like you know. So I think you should have another opportunity for them to present to you and debate with you before you make your sum up, because your sum up might clash with what they have. They know a lot, you know. That is why university professors leave universities to become undersecretaries in the ministries, you know. It's not a luxury. It is a practical learning place when you are in a ministry of a government. Our institutions might be described, oh, they're still weak. But no, there are people who are very technical, who know the areas they are in. So my request is, you are presented to us, have a meeting, let them give you a presentation, criticize our programs, criticize when they are exposed to you. They didn't. The Ministry of Water, the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Transport. In a hotel, they would present to you. You might find that what we are doing is good.
Experts, senior government officials, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Agong Mayang Riak, and together with my colleague Nyachenko Tai will be presenting to you a brief summary of the experts' presentations for the last 5 days, and then we will read over the recommendations. And of course, that comes hands in hands with the great presentations that were just made by the excellencies. So there were 6 main topics that were discussed throughout the 5-day session. And the first was to look at the whole overview of the Nile Basin, which was predominantly presented by Professor Taj. And on that, of course, there were commentaries from the experts. The presentation looked at key areas. One was that the 1929 and the 1959 agreements gave the chunk of the Nile waters to Egypt and the Sudan, and leaving the vast of the wide Nile Basin countries out. That there are 9 Nile agreements on water, and that the government of South Sudan should really keenly look into this. Bahr el Ghazal Basin, with all its tributaries, belongs to South Sudan, which was also mentioned by the first Vice President. The other aspect on this topic was that water security is national security. The second presentation was on water governance, legal framework, regime of the Wide Nile, which was mainly presented by Dr. Salwa, but there were commentaries from the experts as well. And it's largely looked at the international treaties, regional international treaties and conventions, regional agreements, and national laws, touching on Vienna Convention, the principles and rules governing the transboundary waterways, It also looked at the national laws, particularly the Transitional Constitution of South Sudan and the RXs, and the huge gaps that they have on water development and management. The presentation closely said that the White Nile has been flowing its course for decades without management or control. The affected population have been moving closer and closer to live by and over the river, and so leading to flooding and all that. And it says that the status quo is not sustainable. The presentation also underscored that the navigational uses of water are exclusively a right of a sovereign nation like South Sudan, while the international laws governing the non-navigational uses of international watercourses are aimed at ensuring equitable and reasonable utilization, obligation not to cause significant harm, obligation to cooperate on the basis of sovereign equality, territorial integrity, mutual benefit, and good faith. The third presentation, key thematic area, looked at the SAD, climate change, its variabilities, and the follow-up part of presentation was the SAD ecosystems, affected people, socioeconomic value, and water resource management, which was mainly presented by Deng Majuk, and of course with commentaries from the experts. Two key points on that, on those two presentations, that the SAD and ecosystems is a blessing to the people of South Sudan, both socially and economically, and if properly utilized, we will get that benefit. The other observation was that climate change is a global phenomenon. It's not exceptional to South Sudan. The world is now seeing increased intensity of water-related natural events. About 90% of natural resources are weather-related, including floods, droughts, and therefore, we must be dynamic in finding appropriate sustainable ways in responding to its variabilities, whether it's flood, drought, or any other variability. Now, the fourth presentation was the basic concept of dredging, which was presented by Dr. Leju throughout the 5 days of the consultation. And the key point on that was that the definition of the dredging, that is a removal of sediments and other unwanted materials that have settled in the middle of the river with the sole aim of safeguarding and protecting the river in a sustainable manner. The fifth thematic area, which was presented by Honorable Isaac Liabwil, and of course with commentaries from experts, was different aspects of water resource utilization and control, looking at the objectives and all that. And the key aspect was that we need effective planning and prioritization of water development, utilization and control mechanisms. It also touched briefly on Jonglei Canal and the poor initial conceptualization in terms of water management planning and its execution. The Honorable also highlighted on the memorandum of understandings that were really poorly conceptualized and signed by Southern Sudan then with the Arab Republic of Egypt. The final thematic area was the essential components of an inclusive and credible feasibility study, which was again mainly presented by Professor Taj and commentaries from experts. The key highlight on that presentation was feasibility studies are critical to making impactful and sustainable policies. They are like, this analogy was made, that they are like the medical diagnosis before the doctor could give a medical prescription. With that, I call upon my colleague, Chanko, to come and read out the recommendations.
Honorable ministers, advisors, undersecretaries, All protocol remain observed. My name is Nyashankwath Rambangtai, and I'm going to take you quickly through the recommendations. And in the interest of time, I'll just be reading because we are running late. We have over 14 recommendations, and I'll just read, and I will emphasize only on 2 recommendations. The first recommendation is to stop dredging initiative until credible feasibility studies are conducted. Second is both executive and parliament should form an all-party parliamentary committee for water that will focus on the adoption of policies, strategies, action plans on the White Nile waters, use, development, management, as well as control. Appoint a knowledge legal advisor to the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation by reporting functions to the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Advocate for the establishment of the National Water Commission that will focus on regional and international issues as they relate to South Sudan. There is need for national record and archives on water resources. Parliament should deliberate and pass relevant laws on this. The lawmakers should give Nile water development and management a special attention during the upcoming constitution-making process. Approve and adopt permanent constitution provisions and national legislation on the use, development, management, and as well as control of the White Nile waters and its tributaries and ecosystem, as well as the SAD region and its ecosystem. Recommendation number 7, it says that there is need for the deliberation and the passing of the bill for the country to join the Nile Basin initiative with the ratification of the CFA. Recommendation number 8 focuses on commission scientific research on environmental and social assessment on the impact of the Jonglei Canal on the White Nile waters and ecosystem at the SAD region affected population also, and the fisheries, livestock, and wildlife. Recommendation number 9 says good policies are unimplementable without adequate financial resources. Hence, there is need for adequate national funding and budgeting for water resources and development management related initiatives. Recommendation number 10 says knowledge and information is power, and so there is need to establish water development and management related institutions, specifically focusing on capacity building of our experts and policymakers. Recommendation number 11 says investment and consultation with the flood-affected populations and host communities, particularly in their relocation program, if there is any relocation program. Commission the studies on the feasibility of artificial lakes from rainwater in South Sudan in combating floods in the short term, and there is need for the reconstruction of Ripkona Bridge to allow water passage. And for that, I'm going to use the words for the former Undersecretary Isaac, and he said that the river was shocked by a small bridge. So there is a need to reconstruct that Ripkona Bridge. Recommendation number 14, and it is very, very important, and that is women inclusion in all the processes, because women and girls are affected differently by climate change, by droughts, by floods. And I emphasize in all this recommendation, this is key. As long as we are going to implement this, there is need to look at the 35% affirmative action plan, where women inclusion is going to be a key in all of that. Thank you so much.
On some of the recommendations, can you flash them on the recommendations? Can you flash them? Don't forget that we are the government, and we have a resolution in Council of Ministers. Nobody overturns it. only the Council of Ministers. So, am I being heard?
Yes, Your Excellency, these are mere recommendations. They are not resolutions. And these recommendations will be taken to the executive. It is there, and then that we will look into all these. Some of them are not in place.
Let's reach a compromise. This is Council of Ministers. These are ministers, and this presentation is being done in front of us. We can't say stop dredging, because the Council of Ministers has already done that. We need to reword your concerns on it. What is the best word to put?
Yes, Secretariat, what are your appropriate words to replace? Because you have stated that you are stopping the, isn't it? But we are not stopping it. We are the dredging, or if we are to say, to use the correct terminology, as it was stated by the experts.
Michael.
Yes.
The issue was, I thought we separated the two. There was immediate need for cleaning the river, and the dredging being subject to the expert opinion. So they have talked about dredging, but where's the cleaning of the river?
Yes.
Even
what
the undersecretary.
What we are saying is dredging, the way we understood it.
Let me
remind cleaning and yes.
Michael, let me remind you, one of the resolutions of Council of Ministers, which was the last resolution, we have gone even to a level of establishing an institution to do clearing, dredging, management of the water system. These in the resolutions we passed. So it cannot be us here to say the resolutions or the recommendations that have been passed in the consultation, public consultation with the Council of Ministers or with the Cabinet include stoppage of dredging. We don't have. And also, I thought the Ministry of Water Resources has a legal advisor. Or you don't have? You do have. So the legal advisor, any legal advisor comes from the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. So these are things that I heard.
In fact, all the ministries have legal advisors. And they all come to from the Ministry of Justice. So that resolution, that recommendation is not in place. Because it is already there, you are stating a fact, which is already there. That is one. Number two, in terms of legislations, it is not the Parliament that you are addressing the final authority, but it is the government. It is the executive that does everything, and then it comes to the Parliament. But when you say the Parliament to legislate, Parliament cannot legislate without the executive.
Say all parties,
so
all parties, committee.
It is the government.
The committees also in Parliament are composed of all the parties. Whether it is Water Resources Committee or it is Finance or Public Accounts Committee, they are composed of all the parties.
With your permission, Your Excellency, First Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, the protocol observed. This has been a consultation process, and I think we had a 3-day public consultation. The recommendations were put in place, and yesterday we had Parliament, and today. So all the views, even in the recommendation, there is immediate action need to be taken to clear the river, especially aquatic weed. It is in the recommendation. So the Secretariat will remain to file up and harmonize the 5 days consultation, and then we'll put them together to the to the authority, and especially for you to deliberate on it and come up with what is necessary. And it has short-term, medium, and long-term recommendations. And the short-term recommendation is how to rescue the people that are now in the water.
I understand you. Don't make us a rubber stamp for things we don't agree to. Okay, that must be very clear. We're members of government. Okay, we're not public. We have made 2 resolutions in Council of Ministers. Nobody overturns the Council of Ministers with our participation. It would look as if we plotted with you to come and overturn the Council of Ministers resolutions. So either you have different resolutions for our consultation, or we agree on what would be the compromising statement on that particular issue. Yes.
Yes, Your Excellency. In fact, this situation is not very clear. Yes, as you put it right, we cannot be a party to recommendations and resolutions that will be given to us, will be taken to us. The best thing would have been to keep silent about your recommendations and then take them to us in the cabinet. That would have been the right procedure. But the fact that you have ventured into reading them to us, then we need to have an opinion on them. Because what you did is a recommendation. These are recommendations in which we are a party. So we are the ones now making the recommendations, isn't it? And if we are the ones making the recommendations, then definitely we need to agree with the recommendations we are making. So the best thing is to put up the recommendations, and we take them one by one. We agree on one, take it and proceed. Otherwise, there was no reason to ask us there would have been no reason to make a presentation of the recommendations to us. You should have discussed them your own way, prepare them, and then take them to us there. Yes.
Thank you. Is it working? Thank you, Honorable Minister Michael Makuei. You know, this whole exercise of the public consultation was on the basis of the President's directives the day of independence. And I would like to read: to allow our citizens to participate in the consultation process without emotions, I am today freezing any planned dredging activities in the said region until credible, professional, evidence-based studies are carried out in the impact of dredging both on surrounding communities and the said ecosystem. To this effect, I am directing the Ministry of Environment and Forestry to initiate the process of identifying and eventually hiring credible experts who will carry out the said visibility. Our mode of procedure was, for every group we met, we discussed with, at the end of our working day, we submit the summary and the recommendation that has happened during deliberations. And that happened the 3 first days, that happened yesterday, and this is what's happening today. I think there is a misunderstanding. The results of the work of this consultation are not going to be sent to the Council of Ministers. This consultation was called by the Office of the President on directives of the President. So our understanding was all this work for the 5 days will be put in a report and submitted to the President. Then the President will, in his wisdom, determine how he is going to treat the report, either through the Council of Ministers or through his office or through any other process. I am sorry to interrupt your line of thinking, but this was our understanding and the mode of procedure.
It's okay, Dr. Salwa. In fact, you are an expert. So the report supposed to be submitted is not what you give that will be submitted. It is the committee that will present its report based on your presentations and the deliberations of the public. But not you as experts who will present the report. So I did not expect you to react to whatever. The rest is ours. You have done your part, and that is all. That is one. Number two, if at all we were not to be involved, we should have not been called as the executive, because we know where we will meet with the President. And your presentation should have not, the participation have not included us as a cabinet, but should have only consulted the public and whoever, because at the end of the day, the whole thing will go back to us. This is what we know. But as long as you have invited us, and we have become part of the public, and we are the last people who will prepare the recommendations, then it is our duty to ensure that we make the right recommendations. Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Angelina. Yes, dear.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a proposal, like a way forward. Because, you know, I was in the first 3 days of the consultation, and they have done the deliberation, and there was a recap, and they all agreed to whatever they proposed. I am recommending that